For the introduction. Like Aaron said, our team was lucky enough to work with Hypertherm. They're a manufacturing company out of New Hampshire. But before I get too far into the specifics of the company, I'd like to introduce our team. Next slide. And while Erin served as the clinic's co-faculty mentor, like she just said, she was also our faculty mentor this semester. So she helped us every step of the way and was ultra supportive while also being hands-off enough for us to really learn and get a lot out of the B Impact Clinic, which was fantastic. And a little bit about me, my name is Carl Hubbard. I'm a junior studying business administration with an option in information systems and business analytics. And I'll let my wonderful teammates introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah Gagney and I'm a junior studying environmental engineering.
Hi everyone, I'm Elizabeth Kane and I am a junior environmental conservation sustainability major with a business administration minor.
Awesome. So Robin Tyndall served as our project mentor and point of contact at Hypertherm. She holds the position of environmental stewardship team leader at the company. And Robin held a key role in defining what Hypertherm needed from us as the clinic in terms of the business impact assessment and aided us in executing our work however she could. And a little bit about Hypertherm. They're a company with over 2,000 employees headquartered out of Hanover, New Hampshire. They have offices globally and are 100% employee owned through an ESOP structure. Hypertherm is a global leader in manufacturing industrial cutting technology. This ranges across a variety of technologies, including plasma, laser, and most recently acquired water jet systems. As far as core values, Hypertherm closely values technology, customers, honesty and integrity, community leadership, and environmental stewardship. After working with Hypertherm all semester, it is clear that their values are not just there for show, they really put them into practice. While Hypertherm is aiming to become certified, they're not just chasing points. They want to quantify their current practices and use the B Corp certification as a guide on how to continually improve them. Next slide. So at the beginning of the clinic, we created a consulting agreement that set out what we hoped to accomplish for the semester. This included a presentation for Hypertherm on the merits of certification, completion of the governance and customer section, compilation of documentation, a report that highlights recommendations, and preparing verification materials for submission. However, between the start of the clinic and now, a lot of things have certainly changed, as well as what is on the slide. And when you can, if you would go to the next slide, but
sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, we're gonna figure out how to get back to that. All right.
Yeah, looks like we're coming back.
Slowly but surely, we're getting there.
And on to the reality one, when you can. Oh. Wonderful. All right, we're back. So throughout the semester, we were constantly adapting to the rapidly changing environment that we faced. So our expectation and our reality were a little bit different. So instead of presenting Hypertherm with a case study on the merits of certification, we connected them with a member of B Lab, which is the organization in charge of the B Corp certification, so that they can talk through the specifics. The one deliverable that remained the same was the fact that we completed 100% of the governance and customer sections, while also making very significant progress on the remaining environment, workers, and community sections. We decided to focus on completion rather than documentation because we found that the circumstances of the global pandemic made it harder to do so. We highlighted priority areas for next steps and created a comprehensive send-off package for Hypertherm. This included all the progress we have made this semester and the current status of the business impact assessment, as well as recommendations for next steps Hypertherm could take in the future. We're very proud of the amount of work we were able to complete, and feel that we have set up Hypertherm for success moving forward. And now I'll pass it off to Elizabeth.
Hi again, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Kane, and I'll be speaking about our metrics and recommendations. So throughout the course of the semester, Hypertherm went from 31.5 points to 98.6 points, which is quantified by 30.8% completion up to 84.7% completion. I would also like to note that the size and scope of Hypertherm is very large and complex as a global company. So completion of the B impact assessment takes a decent amount of time, even outside of these extraordinary circumstances. So this amount of progress was very, very significant within the scope of Hypertherm. And if you go to the next slide. So this is an increase of 67.1 points and an increase of 53.9% completion. And we are quite happy with this result, especially given that the assessment is still not complete, so there are many more points to be had. Additionally, already being at 98.6 points while remaining incomplete is a testament to the existing impressive practices at Hypertherm, as only 80 points are required for certification. This also reinforces Hypertherm's focus and commitment to continuous improvement and being a leader in terms of corporate responsibility and their social and environmental impacts. Next slide, please. The first recommendation we developed is to finish the uncompleted sections. This is mainly the workers and community sections. And completion of these will allow the entire scope of the company to be analyzed and helps to create an understanding of where the biggest areas for improvement are, while the completion is also necessary for submission to B Lab. The next recommendation is considering a mission lock, either partially or in totality. If a mission lock in totality is adopted, this is worth up to 10 points in the assessment, which is a significant amount. And a mission lock emphasizes that the company legally ensures that its social or environmental performance is accounted for outside of the mission statement. And even if a mission lock in its entirety isn't adopted, there are still opportunities for partial credit for similar documentation of values, as we know that Hypertherm already has a unique business structure, so there's potential for them to be recognized for what exists already if it is put in concrete writing. Following that, we also recommend compiling necessary documentation to support answers moving forward. This is essential for ensuring B Lab will distribute credit where it is due for Hypertherm's existing behaviors and will increase the ease of auditing going forward, as well as tracking their self-improvement, which Hypertherm has already proved they are very committed to. And finally, potentially codifying or solidifying some existing programs or practices to ensure recognition from B Lab is also important for more improvement. Hypertherm already has some valuable programs in place, but we realize they are not as concretely documented as B Lab requires for its standards of recognition, so that bolstering these programs and synthesizing protocols in writing can help them move forward and recertify, and will also help them obtain credits for the existing programs that they have, because with the requirement from B Lab of the documentation being so concrete, it encourages them to be more thorough and extensive through this requirement and make sure they're really being the best they can be. And from here, I will hand it over to Hannah.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Hannah. So to get a little bit more specific with some granular recommendations, we have a nice visual that delineates the amount of points versus the level of effort. So after we come through the assessment, we gathered some questions that fit into each of these niches. In the top left sector, which is also the most valuable when passing these recommendations onto our client, we have the highest yield with the lowest amount of effort. This square encompasses questions that Hypertherm already has the information and data for. They just need to verify some of the statistics and then do a few computations to answer. Questions like these take minimal effort in comparison to the high amount of points they provide. In the bottom left, we have a close second in value with low effort yet low point square. And for those of you who are familiar with the assessment, even though some of the questions may only be 0.49 points, they definitely add up and should still be given attention. These questions include some beneficial environmental behaviors that Hypertherm already acts out, but they just need to be solidified with written policies and regulations to serve as concrete proof of their actions. And as Elizabeth just mentioned, this just ensures the efforts to be recognized by B Lab, and it makes the recertification process easier. And then in the top right, we have the high points but high effort sector. And since Hypertherm is a global manufacturing company, their supply chain is enormous and therefore makes tracking and managing in any form a big task, but it may be something the company wants to look into since their supply chain is such a huge working part of their business. And then lastly, we have the low points, low effort square. And these are questions we really just don't recommend that Hypertherm pays any attention to, at least in the immediate future, because again, it involves their supply chain, which would require a serious amount of auditing and examination to carry out, and the effort just isn't really recognized within the B impact assessment. Next slide. So to wrap up, we just have some key takeaways we want Hypertherm to leave the clinic with. In the beginning, the size and scope of the company seemed a little bit intimidating to be working with just because such an intimate and meticulous assessment, but to our pleasant surprise, the BIA revealed all the efforts and actions within Hypertherm that may have otherwise went unnoticed. It was evident to us that Hypertherm holds true to their core values and mission statement, And given these motivating results, we without a doubt encourage Hypertherm to follow through with pursuing certification. And off that, we also highly recommend organizing and condensing the documentation for the verification process prior to submittal. This would just save a lot of time and repetitive communication between B Lab and Hypertherm. Next slide, please. So here are some of the main takeaways that we as students are gaining from the clinic. First and foremost, we need to expect change. It was evident from the start that we just needed to be really flexible and be able to adapt to the new circumstances. And we actually phrased our student consulting agreement at the beginning of the semester with subject to change, just in case if we or Hypertherm so needed to do so. And we definitely learned how to overcome every obstacle that came our way. We saw that most things normally take longer than you would expect, so you should just always plan your timeline conservatively and realistically. And the clinic in general is just a truly invaluable real-world experience that we have yet to find elsewhere at our time here at UNH. And in this, we got to solidify our professional communication skills when emailing numerous Hypertherm employees, many different departments, different levels of seniority. We also just learned to be really mindful and respectful of other people's lives, their time, schedules, priorities, especially now in today's climate. Last but not least, we really got a concentrated, enriching real-world experience that unveiled the ins and outs of the business discipline in only a few months that would otherwise take years to learn what we did. Next slide. And with that, we just wanted to reiterate our gratitude for our wonderful client and contact within Hypertherm, Robin for being so open and collaborative with us throughout the semester, and Erin for being an awesome faculty mentor with unparalleled advice and experience to offer us, as well as Fiona for leading us through the clinic and offering us the support when we needed it. Thanks.